Hi, it's Chris Thomas again with the CTCS Group, your source for HR leadership and consulting. I'm pleased to be joined today by Bob Tankesley from Neri Capital Partners, an investment bank for small business. Bob, welcome. Tell us a bit more about Neri Capital and how you support small business owners.
Thanks for having me, Chris. Neri Capital Partners, we're a boutique investment bank. We serve the small business owner community, typically with employees numbering between 10 and a couple hundred employees. We serve them in a couple of different ways at least. We help them understand the value of their business because there's a 98% chance they don't know. Remarkable statistic, I know. And then if there's any interest in selling that company to a third party, we do that as well.
So it's fair to say that knowing most small business owners have built up a value in their business, they're looking to maximize that value and sell it as they look to exit the business for retirement or just to move on to something else?
Right. And it's a pretty amazing statistic. I've got another one for you. There's a 76% chance the owner is counting on the sale of that business to have a successful retirement. It's an amazing disconnect. 98% don't know the value, but 76% are counting on the net proceeds to live out the next 20, 30 plus years of their lives.
Wow. So what challenges do you run into when you talk to these owners that are looking to sell a business?
Well, from an HR perspective, the owner is too important. I see this over and over again. The owner has not taken what's in their mind and shared it with everyone else in the company. The owner is too critical. And I say this in a very tactful way, but to the owner, but my job is to make them as irrelevant as possible because the number one buyer concern in every deal that I've ever been involved in, top of the list, is what happens to the business if something happens to that owner. The buyer is thinking, if I step into that owner's shoes, how likely is that cash flow to continue as when I'm owning it? So a very critical concern that they have. Interesting.
So from an HR perspective, what are things that you see that those owners should be doing to prepare themselves?
Yeah, great question. I would like to see them share that knowledge that's in their head with every employee that they have, every employee that needs to have access to that knowledge, of course. So let's empower people to make better decisions. Let's increase their skill set, especially on the sales side, because too often the owner is too critical to the top line, the gross revenue of the company. In other words, they're making too much of the sales, and they need to, if they have salespeople, need to have the salespeople do more and more and more. So that's a sales skills development issue for those employees.
Very good. So said differently, they need to be focused on working on their business rather than in their business and being the core part of their business.
That's correct. We would like to see the owner do these things well in advance of any kind of transaction because these things take time to play out. Typically an owner gives me 6 to 12 months to sell their company, but I'd like to see these types of changes being made at least 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 or 5 years ahead of time, if we still have time that the owner gives us.
Wow, that's a real challenge for most of those business owners.
It will be.
Yeah, interesting. So this is great information, Bob. So I'm a small business owner. I'm looking to understand the value of my business, or at least start thinking ahead that 3 to 5 years at least. How do I get in touch with you?
Great question. So thanks. We have a website. It's nericap, nericap.com. My personal cell phone is 770-633-1083.
Excellent. No, thank you, Bob. Thanks for joining us today. As you can see, there are a lot of challenges for those small business owners, but a little preparation can do a lot to not just helping your business, but increasing the value of that business for that time you're ready to sell. So thank you again, Bob, and thanks for watching this week's Ask Me About HR.